from transformationstm.com, just to give you a very quick heads up about a very impromptu workshop that I'm planning to run this weekend, so this Saturday. The reason it's so impromptu, there's not been a huge amount of free time, and then I realized I actually have got a free Saturday, so thought I would put something in there, as it's been a while since I've done a workshop, and what better than to do one of the client favorites, which is the Huna Workshop. So it's going to be online, and it's a day of two halves. So you can either book to attend in the morning, you can book to attend in the afternoon, or you can book the whole day. So let me show you what is coming up and what we will be covering. And I know some of you might be on small devices, so I'll read you kind of what it says on the screen. Sorry, let me just put that to one side. Royal Ballet Day, loving that. So morning session, we're going to do an introduction to Hawaiian Huna for those of you who've maybe never come across it before. I'm going to talk about also Ho'oponopono, which is probably one of the most well-known pieces of Huna, even though people don't realize they know anything about it. It's called also the forgiveness process. And what I'm going to do is look beyond the social media words. Now, the social media words that people are often familiar with, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you. So I'm going to talk about the other version of Huna that I learned when I was out in Hawaii, which is about the stage and the Avaiku and the Aka connection. So we're going to talk about that because we're building the foundation for what we will do in the afternoon. We'll also talk about the assumptions of Huna magic, and these are really exciting. And one of the things I love about this is magic is an everyday part of the Huna Kahuna experience. So we'll break some of those assumptions down, look at also how you can apply them to your own daily life. And then we're going to look at Huna magic in action, which is that whole thing about showing you the ways that this energy really does work. From there, we will take a break for lunch, and then we reconvene with the second part of the day, and that's where we really get into the experiential piece. So we're going to look at the Huna energy symbols, and not just look at them and talk about them. I'll show you some of the symbols, and we'll actually use the symbols. So from there, we'll go into a group energy clearing session using the Huna symbols, possibly also do a bit of access consciousness as well, because that tends to be a really nice combination. We'll then do some individual Huna energy clearing sessions. So this is where you can either, if you've already booked, if you choose to, you can send me your request in advance, or we can just do it on the day and talk about it on the day. And when I say talk about it, you don't need to be telling everyone else what's going on, because you'll know if you've used my webinar platform before, there's the private chat conversation function. So you can just let me know what it is you would like to work on. We put that into the mix. And one of the things that's always fantastic about these sessions, even though we're working individually, the chances are that something you or someone else shares resonates with everyone else in the group. So you all get to benefit from what you share. So we'll do that. And then we'll do a group Ho'oponopono forgiveness process, where, having explained how it all works and the mechanisms in the first session, we actually do this as a practical session. And then we close with one of my favorite rituals from Huna, the Ahi fire ritual. And this is one that once you've learned it, you can use it in your own lives. And so we'll close with that in terms of how do we bring all of this together. So if you would like to book, easiest way to do that, there is a website link, but it's long. So the easiest way to do that is to go to my main website, which is www.transformationstm.com. It's on the screen, but it might be a little bit small. So it's TRANCE, as in hypnotic trance. So TRANCE, F for Freddie, FORMATIONS, TM as in trademark. So transformationstm.com. When you get to the website, there's a What's New button, a red What's New button, top right. Click on that. A panel will open out. And if you're watching this in real time, you will then see the link for this particular workshop. And I will show you what you're aiming for. Let's see, when you get to that site, there we go. So let's move that one down. So that's the page that you're going to, and it will give you an introduction in terms of what we're going to be covering, the things that we're going to be looking at. Once you've actually done that, if you click the green registration button on the right-hand side, it will then take you to this page here. And you can just choose, do you want to attend in the morning? Do you want to just do the afternoon? Do you want to do all of them? And also, do you want the Huna ebook bundle, which includes a free 30-minute online Huna session with me. If you select the bundle, you put one, so let's say you want one of those. What it will do, it will adjust the ticket price also for the one-day workshop, because there's a combo that I've put together for that. But that's the way that you book. For those of you who don't know very much about Huna, I think I've got some of the slides here. Let me just have a look. So this was from one of the Huna workshops in terms of how people described it. So insightful, energetic, exciting, revealing, practical, impactful, value, resourceful, excellent, powerful, deep, unmissable, inspiring, clearing, magical, comprehensive. So that's when I ran a previous one-day workshop. Hi, Nathan. Nathan says, how are you doing today? I'm doing fabulous. Thank you. How are you? Good to see you. So that's the way people have previously described the Huna workshop. In terms of some of the things, let me just see if I've got that one. That's always a cool one. Just have, that's not the one I'm looking. Oh yeah, this was a funny one actually. When I was at the TCCHE event, the Conference for Consciousness and Human Evolution, someone had flown in from Japan and they'd arrived that day, and they were quite long days. So on that particular night, they were going to be finishing around 10:30 p.m. And they just looked completely. And so I said, hey, how are you? Are you okay? And he said, oh, I've got terrible jet lag. Don't know if I can make it through the rest of this. And I said, well, would you like me to do a bit of Huna? And he didn't know what it was. I said, oh, don't worry, just take a minute or so. It's just some energy boost. So I did it in the room. There's hundreds of people there. If you've been to that event, there's like 550 people there. So people are milling about. And he's standing there with his two colleagues. So I'm in the room just going. So I do a quick round of Huna. I finish, and he just looked at me and he went, Huna is better than Starbucks. Huna is better than Red Bull. Saw him the next day, said, how are you doing? He's like, said exactly the same thing. Huna is better than Starbucks. Huna is better than Red Bull. Saw him on the final date, still buzzing. And we had a similar impact for those who were actually in the room, because let me just see if I can find that one. Now, yeah, we do have, I might as well show you them as they're popping up in front of me. But we do have some really interesting things happen. So this was from someone from my membership group. I didn't know this at the time, but she'd had a frozen shoulder for 18 months. And in the workshop, it wasn't a Huna workshop, but I just said, does anyone want a quick burst of Huna before we go to break? So just did a minute or so. And partway through, her husband says, go on, tell Marilyn what you've just told me. And I said, oh, what's happened? And he said, she's had a frozen shoulder for the past 18 months, so done physio, chiro, whatever, all that sort of stuff, still frozen. And after the Huna, she was able to put her arm straight up in the air. So we do have some really miraculous things that happen with regards to Huna, which is always really, really amazing. I'm just looking for that next one, the one I'm really looking for on the way to the others, because it's always very, very cool. Because people often ask, how does it work in terms of a group setting? So, gosh, I've got a lot in here. Oh, that's an interesting one, actually, while we're about it. So let's do that. Let me show you this one as well, in terms of the remote power of Huna, because I kind of answered the question that I was just getting to. People say, well, how does it work remotely? And I'm like, yes, very well, thank you, in terms of the way that it works. And so this is, some of you might know the wonderful Lac Loy. I'd worked with a colleague of his, and Lac was stuck, had been out of contract at that point for 9 months. And his friend had said, well, give Marilyn a call, ask her about the Huna stuff. It's really good for shifting energy, removing blockages, etc. So we actually did that over the phone. And within a couple of days, the thing that always happens with my clients, where they go, Marilyn, you're not going to believe this, had one of those calls from Lac, and contracts which had been, as he put it, dead in the water, suddenly come back to life. And they're actually saying, can you start tomorrow? And he said, whoa, hold on. I need a bit of time just to sort out logistics, etc. Can I start on Monday? And that is, that's happens a lot. So one of the things that Lac said, and of course, he's given me permission to share this. He says, you're not going to believe this. I knew there was a block. Now it's gone, and you have the most amazing ability, and it is having miraculous effects. So when I talk about Huna magic, even though that's a word that we in the West don't, we associate it with things like Harry Potter, etc. One of the things I will say is it's part of the vocabulary of Huna. And the reason I always use that word is when things shift and change, normally within a couple of hours, definitely within a couple of days for the majority of people, it seems magical. You're like, whoa, what just happened there? So that's one of the things I always say. This was from someone who did my photo reading workshop, where I always do a dash of Huna now on the Friday night. We do the bonus Huna belief change session, and this was a result of that. So she says, talk about grabbing the bull by the horns. When you did the Huna healing on me, oh my God, I couldn't believe how accurate your diagnosis was. You didn't tell me you're a doctor as well as everything else. And what she means by that is the energetic component. There'll be times where I will just get I always say intuition. I know when people are watching it, I'm like, whoa, this is clairvoyance and all the rest of it. I just say I'm highly intuitive, but there'll be times I get a sense to do something or to say something. Oftentimes it doesn't make any sense to me, but it makes perfect sense, as in this case, to the recipient. And her daughter was there actually. And this is, we do this in the dark, because when we get to this time of year, particularly, I do it in the evening. So we typically do this between 7 p.m. and 8 p.m. And I turn down the lights, draw the blinds if it's a summer evening, and I just have the spotlights on at the front. And then people normally sit with their eyes closed. But even if they haven't got their eyes closed, they actually can't see what I'm doing around them and behind them, because they're just sitting facing front. And her daughter was there. And for some reason, I have no idea why, I got a sense of just doing some work on her shoulder. After I switched the lights on, we did the debrief, her daughter was saying, wow, when you came near me, I felt this heat in my shoulder, and then it just started to do this. And what I didn't know is that she pulled her shoulder that week because they got really big guard dogs, and she'd been out walking the dogs. The dog had seen something and did that thing where it yanks on the leash. So it's that, and that's why, you know, when people talk about it being miraculous, amazing, those are some of the things that happen that you can't explain it logically. But I just say, look, enjoy the results. So in terms of group process, as they say in the United States, this is one of my favorite slides and shots to just really summarize the way that Huna tends to work. This was again at the TCCHE event. So you can see on this, it's very tiny, of course, particularly if you're on a device. But that's great. Greg Braden, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and Dr. Bruce Lipton on the stage. And so at that particular event, I did a couple of minutes of Huna for the group of 500 plus people. Every single person that experienced something, that's the majority of them, I couldn't walk 2 steps for the rest of the event without someone stopping me to talk about what they didn't know what I was doing, but whatever the thing was I did, they wanted to tell me about it. So these are just some of the examples. So this one says, thank you so much for everything, the Huna, and how beautifully you held the energy of the room and managed everything, because people could feel the energy in the room once I put the symbols in there. Someone else says, I attended the 4-day TCCHE event a couple of weeks ago, and although I found the speakers fascinating, your Huna work had the most profound effect on me, because I was also getting emails weeks after the event with people telling me what had happened on the day, and also how that had continued, what I call the ripple effect. Someone else says, I did speak to you at the event, brackets in the ladies. Like I said, I couldn't walk 2 steps without somebody saying something, or being in the toilet and somebody shouting over the cubicle. So she said, I did speak to you at the event in the ladies, and explained how I felt the energy around me and a sense of calm. But since that time, I'm quite amazed at what had happened, because something shifted in the room for her, and then it continued after the event, and it's something she'd been struggling with for a long time. That one was, I believe, the woman who had the hot flushes. People got something completely different, whatever it was that was going on for them. So the guy who stopped me on the underground on the Monday evening, he went, it's you, isn't it? And I went, depends what I've done. And he said, you were in the room and on that first day, and you were waving your hands about. I didn't know what you were doing. And I actually like, oh, really? And he said, but I've been moving house that day. And he pulled his back, and he said, as soon as you started to wave your hands about, I felt the pain in my back just disappearing, and I've been absolutely fine since then. So I always say that Huna works in really mysterious, wonderful, fabulous ways. Oh, actually, I'm going to show you this one as well, because this one for me is almost like the litmus test. Because you could say, well, people are expecting something, da 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 da. The dolphins were expecting nothing. I actually felt a bit bad about this one. So I went on a Caribbean cruise in 2015, and I went to a dolphin reserve. And the reason I went, because I'm not a fan of these sort of things where they're in captivity, but this one, the reason I went, the dolphins are free to just swim out into the ocean, but they know what time dinner time is. So they come back for dinner and to have a play with the guests, but they can go into the open ocean when they're not working. if they choose to. Some of them actually like to hang out. So we're doing the briefing, and there are 3 groups, and we're in groups of 5. So each of us is getting a briefing at the same time. We've all got a dolphin that's assigned to our group. Now at breakfast, I'd met a few people, and they were saying, what do you do? Da da da. And I said, well, I do Huna energy, and they said, oh, I do Reiki. And I said, oh yeah, I started off with Reiki, however it was, that it would have been 15 years at that point ago. And so we're just talking about it, and we're talking about the way that animals can respond to energy. And then I was saying, it'd be really interesting actually to see what happens with the dolphins. And so what we then started to do is hold. Oh, that's interesting. Sorry, I was just looking at something that popped up on the screen, and that was kind of interesting. Yeah. So what we then started to look at is talk about is animals and how they react. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So we're in the water now. We're getting ready to do it, and they're at briefing and saying, how to handle the dolphins, what to do, what not to do, etc., and the way it's going to work, and la la la. So she's talking. The guide is talking. The dolphin is just swimming about, and I knew which one was ours. So I then started to send some Huna energy to the dolphin. The dolphin does like an abrupt turn and comes straight at me and nuzzles into my stomach. The woman who's doing the briefing, she looks kind of shocked and like, wow. And she went, and I said, it's fine. I said, it's fine. I sometimes have that effect on animals. I said, it's fine. She said, you're all right. I said, yeah, fine. Keep going. So she's now explaining to the group, but she's kind of bemused. So I then start stroking the dolphin and having a play. She looks at me, she says, they never let us do that. Even some of the trainers are not allowed. They just don't let us play with them in that particular way. I was like, oh, it's interesting. So she carries on teaching. Now I was, I think, 3rd in line. So it should have been person number 1, person number 2, person number 3. So she gets now to the bit where you do your pose with the dolphins. And she's trying to get the dolphin now to go to person number 1. The dolphin now lies a long ways across me and is just right there. And I'm kind of giving it a hug. Wouldn't move. So she's trying to get this dolphin. She's getting more and more firm as it gets along. Now I'm starting to go, oh my God, this is all my fault. And so she says, okay, we will start with you and then we'll move on to the. So I then go first, do my photo. One of them you can see here with the dolphin. I go back into line. The dolphin would not leave my side, was going nowhere. She's now getting really upset. And she's saying, this has never happened before. I don't know what's going on. And I said, and again, I said, maybe the dolphin's just, doesn't want to play today. And I then jokingly again said, I sometimes have this effect on animals. I thought, I'm not even going to go into the conversation about Huna and the energy and all the rest of it. But now I'm feeling a bit bad for the dolphin, because the dolphin's kind of, the trainer's not happy. So what happened in the end was, our group had to wait until one of the other groups finished, and then we borrowed their dolphin to do the other 4 photos, because that dolphin was going nowhere. And for me, I'm like, okay, look, even as if humans, there's an element of what you might call the placebo effect, your expectation, whatever. But even so, I know that's not true, because at the TCCHE, no one even knew what I was doing, because it was very impromptu. I was just about to go up on stage to introduce the next speaker, who was Lynn McTaggart. And just as I was going up on stage, the organizer of the event, Richard, said, oh, I've just realized the people from Grenfell Towers, because this was a 1-year anniversary of the Grenfell Towers disaster. He said, I've realized that people from Grenfell Towers are downstairs. Before you start and introduce Lynn, can you just do a quick guided meditation or a healing or something? So my foot was on the stage at that point. So there was no time for me to give a big old explanation. What is Huna? How does it work? I just explained, people from Grenfell Towers are downstairs. We're just going to do 2 or 3 minutes just to send them some energy. And I will also direct some energy in their direction if they choose to receive it. That's all I said. So people had no idea what I was doing. But I also said to the group, if you would like to receive it as well, then just give yourself permission to do so. And from there, that's when all of the miraculous things started to happen. So I already know it's not down to your belief set. However, the dolphin story, I think kind of just cements it for me. And I was like, oh man, that is just so cool. So yeah, that was a fun one. Hey, Sheila, how are you? So Sheila Mack, wonderful lady out in the United States. She says, good morning from the USA. I found your early morning Huna message. Oh, that is... Oh, Puppy Maple and I are enjoying a listen. Wow. And seriously, I remember I did a Huna session over the phone. It was one of the first times I started doing the Huna. And oh, thank you for the share, Sheila. Really appreciate it. I was doing a Huna and Access Consciousness session. One of my clients, she said she got really, noisy cat, always everywhere, on everything, they get on the keyboard, etc. She said she noticed the first time I did because back in the day I was doing teleseminars on the phone. She said, I noticed as soon as you started doing the Huna, the cat just went completely quiet and calmed down. I had another client who used to shut her dog outside. She noticed that whenever I did the Huna, the first time it happened, because the dog would be padding about and doing stuff that, she said she had to get up and open the door because the dog went completely silent. And if you've got pets or even young children, you know that when they go completely silent, there's often something a little bit dodgy going on. So she opened the door, and the dog was just sat there peacefully to the point where she could actually let it in. So oftentimes, even when we're doing remote stuff, animals and pets will respond to it. It's just really uncanny. So that's what we are going to be doing. So if you would like to experience some of this energy shifting for yourself, it's one that I always say it travels around the world. So even when I, let's say, do the first time I ran the photo reading online as a webinar, did the Huna exactly the same. People had the same impact that they would have when they were in the room. So if you would like to join me, let me bring that one back up here. Scrolling. Da, da, da. So if you'd like to join me, as a reminder for those of you coming in later, this is what we're going to be covering. Easiest way to book is online, virtual. If you can't make it, there will be a recording, but go to transformationstm.com, click on the What New button, and then from there, you will then, the panel will come out, and the page that you're looking for, again, just as a refresh and a reminder, click on the green registration button. That takes you to the ticketing page, and that's where you'll see the options for either half day in the morning, half day in the afternoon, full day. And then if you wanted to also do that as a combo with the ebook package, which includes a free one-to-one online Huna session with me, that's the bottom one. Click that, just select the number of products you want, and what it will do, it will automatically change the price of the full one-day workshop. If you've got any questions, if you've got any queries, by all means, you can drop me an email. I will be happy to answer those when I have a little bit of time. But that time is one of the things I haven't got that much of at the moment, which is why this is so last minute. And I'm running this, for those of you who are joining me in real time, running this one on this coming Saturday. And if you've got any questions, drop me an email, Marilyn, MARILYN, @transformationstm.com. So that's TRANCE, trance, as in hypnotic trance, FORMATIONSTM, transformations.com. So Marilyn @transformations.com, same spelling as in Marilyn Monroe. Drop me an email, I will get back to you. The easiest way is book your place if you would like to join us. And for those of you who are part of the Huna subscription service, I emailed you all last night because this is one of the bonus items that I'm adding to that. So what I will do with this one, I'll record it because the Huna subscription is a Huna audio service. So what I'll most likely do as well is I'll add it as an audio. But if you want to join me physically for the workshop, just send me an email back. And what I'll do is I'll set you up into the webinar, so you won't need to register. I'll just do that for you. Just let me know which email address you want me to use, and I'll get that set up for you as well. But if you want your own Huna is better than Red Bull experience, sign up, come and join us. Would love to have you there. And I will see you virtually on Saturday. And if I'm not talking to you, and actually, if you know you're just going to be doing the recording, please still send me what you'd like to work on individually, because I will put that into the mix when we do both the group session and also when I do the individual sessions. And those of you will know, if you've kind of been around me a while, you will know that Huna still works remotely. I don't think I've got the mock-up here slide here of the client from Australia. I'll have a quick look before we go. Let's see. Going once, going twice. Have I got it in here? Don't think I have, because it was a lovely piece from one of my clients in Australia. She was only listening to a recording. She actually wasn't there live. But what she described and how she put it into words was exactly what I was doing, even though she had no idea. She was just listening to the sounds that I was making. And it was uncanny in terms of how she described exactly what was going on, even though she was just listening to a load of And even if you do Huna, you've got no idea what symbols I just did. So yeah, really interesting. I don't think I've got it here in this stack, however. So you just have to take my word for that one rather than reading what she said. Just give it one more little look. See? No, don't think I've got it in this particular stack. Oh, yes, I have. There it is. It's hiding. So that's one. This was back in the days where I was just doing audio. So this was a tele seminar, as in I was dialing up my phone. People were just listening to the MP3 energy audio. Pippa, who is one of my lovely clients, she's out in Australia. She wasn't able to make it live, as I know many of you won't be able to at such short notice. So she was listening to the recording. And she was then describing exactly what was happening while she was going through the recording. And I'll just read you a little extract. So she said, initially, my third eye, throat and heart center and solar plexus all felt compressed. What she would have had no idea of, I started with the symbol. The literal translation is thunder comes down and strikes the earth and makes the earth shake. And people sometimes feel that as a pushback. She then says it was uncomfortable to say the least. After the first round of Huna, I sensed the image of a triangle of fire. She had no idea that after I've done that, which my intention is to break up the stuck energy, I then did the fire energy, which is a red triangle, to burn away the embers of that. Again, no idea. She would have just been listening to me making some sounds. She then says, during and after the second round, I felt the pain being drawn out of my body by my heart center. What I did is this thing called sword fingers, where you draw the energy out, so down through the arms, out through the chest, and you're drawing, it's almost like making candy floss is the way I describe it, but we're drawing the energy out and bringing it out through the heart center. And there's also a symbol I use to open up the heart area, because that's the channel that we were working on at that point. She said, I began to slowly feel lighter. My heart center opened up more than previously. I felt like I was glowing from the inside out. There's a symbol that I use where it almost, the translation is that you're glowing from within. So that's the symbol that I put in there afterwards. And again, I'm just doing this on the spot in terms of what do I intuitively think it will be really good for the group to go through. And then she says, and the phrase, as if the light of my soul is now able to shine through my heart center, comes to mind. And that's where I place the symbol in the heart center. So you radiate the light outwards. And then she says, the third round gave me a sense of my heart center expanding into the universe. And I have a sense of feeling more open and cleared. And there's a sense of joy. But seriously, as I was reading, and it was years later when I read it, and I thought, oh, hang on a minute, because I just thought it was lovely to read it, but it wasn't till years later when I was using this as an example for another webinar that I was setting up, because people were saying, well, what if I can't make it live? Will it still work? And I said, let me read you this. And then I was reading it and I was like, oh my God, hold on a minute. I thought back to the teleseminar. I was like, that's exactly what I did. But I hadn't noticed initially when I read the testimonial that Pippa was describing exactly what I was doing, even though no one had any conscious awareness of what I was doing. They can just hear the sounds. And many of you will know when you do these things, you kind of drift off a bit as we're going. So people aren't even really paying that much attention. They're out in the zone. So if you would like to join me for live or access the replay recording, go to the transformation site, click on the red What's New button at the top. Panel will come out. If you're watching this in real time, it'll be the one that's at the top of the panel. Book your place. The pricing will change. Well, it has changed. It changed yesterday and it will change again. And it will change when we've done the real event, live event as well. So if you would like to book at the price it is now, suggest you book. And that means you also get the replay recording as well. And I would love to see you there, either virtually, in person, or connect with you via the replay recording. So thank you so much for watching. And if you know someone who could benefit from this and you think it will be good to them to have a bit of an energetic shake-up and an autumn clean, and just start refocusing on where we go from here as we transition into the final quarter of this year and into the new year, please feel free to share this video. And as I said, if you're not watching it in real time, by the time you see this, there will be a replay recording, which you can also purchase as well. So feel free to share. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you all for joining me today. Thank you to those of you in the live chat. I will catch you later.